Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're diving into something that feels kind of like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, you know? We're talking about using AI chatbots to schedule appointments. I gotta admit, the first time I heard about this whole thing, I was picturing, like, robots taking over the world, one dentist appointment at a time. But then I dug into Desiree Horsey's report, and honestly, I'm actually kind of pumped to see where this conversation takes us.
Yeah, it's definitely a fascinating topic.
What I find super interesting is how Desiree's report highlights how this AI chatbot thing could be like a total game changer. And not just for businesses, but for, well, anyone who's ever had to actually like book an appointment, you know? No more of those frantic phone calls you got to squeeze in during your lunch break, just like smooth sailing. Think about it, 24/7 booking. Imagine getting those personalized recommendations from the AI, like, hey, we know you prefer Tuesday afternoons for your appointments.
Hmm.
And that's what I call
Yeah,
service.
the personalization aspect is
Dude,
huge.
and honestly, the best part, this whole AI thing could free up so much time for businesses. They could focus on actually like serving us, the customers, instead of being stuck on the phone all day. I mean, think about it. Instead of being bogged down with scheduling calls, they can focus on giving us a better experience once we're actually there.
Absolutely. It's all about optimizing the customer journey.
Okay, but before I get too carried away, I gotta ask, how does this actually work in practice? I mean, it almost sounds too good to be true.
You're right, it does sound kind of futuristic. But the magic here really is in these two things, natural language processing and machine learning.
Okay, those sound kind of technical.
I know, right? But before you tune out thinking I'm about to bore you with jargon, let me break it down. So natural language processing, that's like teaching a computer to understand human language, right? Instead of having to type in specific commands, you could just chat with it naturally, just like you would with another person.
Okay, so it's like texting with a robot that actually gets what you're saying.
Exactly. And then you got machine learning, which is where things get really, really interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So this is where the AI steps in, right? It starts analyzing your past behavior, your preferences, all that good stuff to make these nearly accurate suggestions.
So it's like it knows what you want before you even ask.
Exactly. It's like having a personal assistant who's obsessed with your schedule, knows it better than you do, always suggesting the best time, even remembering little things like if you prefer online bookings over phone calls.
Wow, that's seriously impressive. But okay, hold on a sec. What about double bookings? I feel like I'm constantly juggling like a million different calendars. Does this help with that?
Oh, absolutely. One thing Desiree points out in the report is how these AI chatbots can actually be integrated with your existing calendar systems.
So no more back and forth trying to nail down a time that works.
Exactly. The AI does all the heavy lifting for you, making sure you never miss a beat.
That is seriously impressive. But okay, I gotta be honest. While the whole 24/7 thing and the personalized recommendations sound amazing, I can't help but wonder about the potential downsides. I mean, we've all seen those memes about AI gone wrong, right?
Oh, for sure. It's easy to go down that rabbit hole.
And then when the report mentions things like compliance and security, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what's actually happening to our data? Are we trading convenience for a potential privacy nightmare?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's we don't want to get too caught up in all the cool features and forget about the bigger picture.
Exactly. So, how do we know our information is actually safe with these AI chatbots?
Right. Well, that's where the whole compliance thing comes in, right? Desiree explains in the report that there are already regulations in place, HIPAA for healthcare, for example. That's to make sure all that sensitive data is handled responsibly. And I think as the technology keeps getting better, we're going to see even more security measures being put in place.
Okay, so it's not just a free-for-all with our data then. That makes me feel a bit better, I gotta admit.
Yeah, for sure. It's not about throwing caution to the wind or anything. It's about finding that sweet spot between, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, but also making sure we're not compromising when it comes to our information.
Right, right. Because, Desiree's report doesn't just stop at like the here and now. It also goes into like the future of scheduling, which is where things get really, and I don't know, maybe a little bit creepy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're talking AI that doesn't just schedule appointments, but also starts like anticipating our needs based on those appointments.
Yes. It's like something straight out of a movie. Right?
Oh, really?
Okay, imagine this. Your AI chatbot, it books you a dentist appointment, no problem.
Hmm.
But then it also knows that you're going to be hungry afterward. So it goes ahead and orders your go-to takeout order to be delivered right as you're finishing up at the dentist.
Okay, that actually sounds amazing, but it also feels, I don't know, like a slippery slope. How much information are we okay with sharing? When does helpful become like Too much.
You're hitting the nail on the head. It's such a fine line. And that's exactly why in the report, Desiree talks about the whole idea of responsible AI development.
Okay, so like responsible AI development. What does that actually even look like? When we're talking about something like scheduling, which feels kind of like mundane.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it really comes down to making sure that we're using AI ethically, that it's transparent, giving users control over their data, and making sure that these systems, they're designed to work with us, not like replace us entirely.
Right, right.
So it's not about like just handing over the reins completely. It's more like, okay, we can have these AI tools to help us with the scheduling and stuff, but we're still in the driver's seat, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So it's less about like the Terminator and more about like a really, really efficient assistant. I can get behind that. But with all this talk about like the future and stuff, I'm curious, where do you see this all going? Are we all going to have these like personalized scheduling bots running our lives in 5, 10 years?
I mean, it's definitely a possibility, right? And I don't think it has to be a bad thing either.
Right.
Like, imagine a world where, you know, scheduling conflicts are just like a distant memory.
Yeah.
You never miss a reminder for an appointment because your AI knows exactly how to get a hold of you, no matter what.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
And think about all that time you waste, like on hold,
Yeah.
trying to navigate those terrible phone menus,
Ugh, the worst.
gone. All that, gone.
That does sound kind of utopian, not gonna lie.
Right.
But I think it goes back to what we were saying before about responsible AI development.
Yeah.
Because it's not really about the technology itself, right? It's about how we decide to use it.
100%. And that kind of reminds me of this really thought-provoking question that Desiree asks in the report. I'd love to throw it out to you, the listener, and see what you think.
Ooh, I'm always down for a good brain teaser.
Okay, so imagine this. You could design like the perfect scheduling AI. What would it do? Like, what features would you absolutely have to have? What would make you feel comfortable trusting this AI with your schedule, your preferences, all your data, basically?
That is a great question, and it's definitely one we should all be thinking about, especially with this technology, becoming more and more common.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just about convenience, right? It's also about control, transparency, like feeling like this AI is actually working with us, not the other way around.
100%.
It's about making sure that as we move into the future, AI is making our lives easier without like compromising what's important to us.
Exactly.
So yeah, as you're going about your day, navigating the world of appointments and schedules and all that fun stuff, keep that question in the back of your mind. Because the future of AI, it's being written right now, and we all have a say in how it unfolds.
I love that.
Food for thought, deep divers. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep.